Today, I'm taking a look at the Ride 13 versus the Pegasus 37.
Going up, going up, going up, going up, going up, going up. Get it that I'm never going up, going up, going up, going up, going up, going up, going up. Get it that I'm never going. I get to it off the runway. Different incomes, not one way. Living life on a one way. I knew this would happen someday. You can ask my day one day. Cloudy days turn to sun rays. Only way to way up way. Know my way, know my feng shui. I get to it first, I got you mad. I get sad when I get to it last. Get it, then I'm never going back. Get it, then I'm never going back. I get to it first, I got you mad. I get sad when I get to it last. Get it, then I'm never going back. Get it, then I'm never going back. Up, going up, going up, going up, going up, going up, going up. Get it, then I'm never going up, going up.
12.08 miles, 8 minutes, 55 seconds, 141 beats per minute in the Ride 13 today. Although the paces were probably on average a little bit faster than that, I did have to take quite a bit of a pit stop trying to get that farm dog to kind of stop following me. My original route was going to take me on more of a loop, so I'd have more dirt road and pavement, but it kept following me even as to the point where I got to the paved road again. At that point, I thought it'd be too dangerous to take that dog with me, so I turned around and tried to bring him back home. Took some effort to get the dog to kind of stay home, but that did also kind of affect the average paces for today. And today's run was intended to compare the Ride 13 against the Pegasus 37, which I did pretty much the exact same run with the same situation with the same farm dog again on that day as well, with the same distance and just about the same paces for each of the 2 days. So it gives you a really great head-to-head opportunity to compare these two shoes. Now before I do want to go over some disclosures. The Ride 13 is a pair of shoes that was sent to me for the purpose of review by Roadrunner Sports. The Pegasus 37 is a pair of shoes that I purchased with my own money. However, in either event, no one's reimbursing me any purchase prices or paying me to make this video or to use either of these shoes. No one's gonna get a chance to preview any of my footage before you guys get a chance to see this video on YouTube. Now with the disclosures out of the way, let's talk about the Ride 13 versus the Pegasus 37. Now both of these shoes are fantastic everyday trainers. Two of the everyday trainers that I was most looking forward to for this year. And to cut to the chase, both of them are excellent. But this isn't about talking about two excellent shoes. It's about talking about which one is better. So let's take a look at the Ride 13 first. The Ride 13 comes in at a relatively heavy 9.7 ounces at the stated weight. It doesn't specify on Saucony's website which size they're referring to. I'm going to assume that's a size 9, which happens to be my size for this shoe. It's got plenty of stack height with 24 millimeters of stack height in the forefoot, and it's all Power Run foam. It's a fantastic shoe to run on and extremely comfortable. Saucony touts this shoe as the smooth ride that feels good, and it definitely delivers. Now, on the other hand, the Pegasus 37 looks to be the much more lightweight option, but this year the Pegasus tips the scale at a stated 10.05 ounces, although Nike lists that as a size 10, which is going to be bigger than the size 9 that I have. So in essence, both of these shoes are pretty much the same size, both a little bit heavier than I would normally think would be great for an everyday trainer. Now, Nike touts this as a durable, lightweight trainer with maximum responsiveness. And they're doing that with an all-React midsole this year and a brand new style of Zoom air pocket in the forefoot with different levels of air pressure calibrated for the men's and the women's shoe, which is unique for the Pegasus. In terms of the stack height for this, it's a 10 millimeter drop shoe with 14 millimeters of stack height in the forefoot. This has an additional 10 millimeters on top of that. So both of these foams are nice, but there's a lot more in the Ride 13. So in terms of the fit, the Pegasus is a much more snug fitting shoe. It makes you feel a little bit more nimble. The Ride 13 is plush all over. It's not necessarily the roomiest shoe, but any point that it does touch your foot, for the most part, any part that it touches your foot, it's extremely comfortable. Pretty much everything on the upper of this shoe is padded, even down to the laces. Now I said most of the things. There's a little spot here right at where the end of the, there's a little bit of structure at the toe cap here. Right where that ends, it tends to touch my foot in a way that's not the most comfortable. That's a little tiny spot on the entire upper that does stand out because the rest of the shoe is so comfortable. Now what all this comfort means is that it's a hot shoe. All this padding in the tongue, all this padding around the heel collar, these are just gigantic sweat sponges that even when I'm done running with the shoe and I let it air out outside in the summer air, by the end of the day, it's still damp when I bring the shoes back inside. So definitely a bit of a sweat magnet in here. When I take my feet out of these shoes, socks are wet. Now that's not to say though that the Pegasus doesn't have any of those same problems. There is a little bit of padding around the heel collar in the Pegasus, but I find that it's a little bit more stripped down in a way that I also just generally tend to prefer. So I like the upper on the Pegasus 37, but it's still also a pretty hot shoe. By the end of a run in the summer, I'm hearing squishiness with all the sweat coming down my leg, pooling kind of in the bottom of the shoe. It doesn't have a great place to go, so it just ends up being a little bit of a squishy shoe. It doesn't hold on to that moisture nearly as long as the Ride 13 does, but it's a little bit warm of a material. I wish they would make one that was just a lot more breathable with a different kind of mesh in the upper that really let the air ram through there. But they never seem to do that with the Pegasus because I think they want that extra durability. But that also translates into a warm shoe as well. Now in terms of the running mechanics, there is a smoothness to the Ride 13 that I've just really been enjoying. I feel like I'm getting to use a large proportion of the shoe from kind of even towards the heel, the midfoot all the way to the front, and it makes for a really nice transition. I don't know if they're playing around with the densities of this power run or if they've just done a really great job of the implementation. Whatever it is, it almost feels like there's a rocker on this shoe. Your shoe hits the ground very smoothly with very little apparent impact, and it just pops right off the ground. It's just a really pleasant sensation to run in. Now, in terms of the Pegasus, this year they switched from Cushlon to that full React midsole, and it took a little bit of time for it to break in like thick React midsoles tend to be. But once it did, it also ended up being a very smooth ride, a little bit more jarring. There's something about the way that this heel area is designed where I feel like there's almost like a two-part like contact point when I hit the ground. It's very subtle, not really terribly noticeable, except when you get to the ends of a longer run. What I end up feeling is that the 14 millimeters of stack height combined with the way that the shoe is, leaves me wanting that there was just a little bit more comfort in here. I don't know if maybe I need more air in the air pocket, maybe I need less, I'm not sure which one it is. Maybe I just need more React material in the forefoot. But there's something about it on longer runs that leaves me wanting just something a tiny little bit more. That's not to say that this isn't a fantastic shoe to run in. There's so much great running that you can do in this shoe, and I've really been enjoying running in it. But because of the way that this React feels underfoot and the way the Zoom Air Pocket feels, I feel like this shoe really shines at paces that are a little bit faster and for distances that are a little bit on the shorter side. Something in the 10 miles or shorter, this is a great shoe to pick up. And if you want to be running a little bit faster, if you're going to be picking up the pace a little bit, maybe you've got some intervals or mile repeats within your long run, I feel like this is a really great shoe to be running in. On the other hand, with the Ride 13, I love it for really long runs. I love it for long distances. The 12 miles that I took it in today, it just soaked up those miles so easily. I just felt like I could keep running even further. It was just fantastic to run in. That being said, I did pick up the pace in it a little bit today just to test out how that would feel running at a marathon pace and a little bit faster than that, just to give it a sense of what this shoe would be like when you're running at something other than an easy recovery pace. And while I could get there, it felt like it really took a little bit of effort to maintain those paces. I was working a little bit harder than I might normally otherwise have to. And so if it was something where I have to move quickly, I'm not sure that I'd really be reaching for the Ride 13. But on any other day where I'm looking to have really comfortable long run or just have a shoe that I could put on, run, and not have to think about my shoe, the Ride 13 is what I'm going to be picking. Now, in terms of the final head-to-head comparison, which one is the better shoe? I think I'm going to give the overall crown to the Pegasus 37. I think that it's going to appeal to much more people and a lot more people's running styles, whether you're an ultra marathoner or marathoner, or a 5K runner. I think this is a shoe that could have a definite solid place in your rotation and you're gonna be very happy with it. I wouldn't recommend the Ride 13 first to somebody unless they had something that they didn't like. Maybe they ran into Pegasus 37 or a previous Pegasus or some other shoes and they thought, you know, I like those shoes, but I felt like there wasn't enough cushion for me or I felt like it was really hurting my feet. There would have to be something that you were specifically looking away from that would make me recommend the Ride 13 to you. But that's not to say that only people that have problems with other shoes can like the Ride 13. If you're looking for that smooth ride that feels good, and you just want a super reliable daily trainer to soak up miles, this is gonna still be a really good choice. So those are my thoughts on these two shoes. I'm sure that a lot of you are going to disagree. I'd love to keep the conversation going down in the comments. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. Hopefully you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and I'll see you in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?